That's right. It is time for Philadelphia Flyers hockey. It is the Fanatic Flyers pregame show. And the Flyers, the 1-1 Flyers, starting out their season on the West Coast with 4 straight games in multiple time zones away, are facing the Edmonton Oilers, who start off the year with their first 4 games all in their home building. And it's the 1-1 Flyers against the are you kidding me? 0-3 Edmonton Oilers? Well, that's the matchup tonight. And their superstar, Connor McDavid, has yet to yield a goal on the season. It's Jason Myrtetus, and right now we're joined by former Flyer defenseman Chris Therien and Brian Smith in Edmonton. And Bundy, it's time to get this show on the road tonight against a team in Edmonton that hasn't won a game. But where I want to start with you, because I haven't spoken to you, at least on the record or on the air, is what did you think of the first 2 games? The Flyers win in Vancouver in a shootout, which is a rarity in itself. And then, obviously, the loss in Calgary, they're on the back-to-back. Calgary was not.
Yeah, you know what? I thought when I looked at the Vancouver game, I thought we saw a lot of what the Flyers were early in the year and going through the midway point. They fought back in games, maybe got a point when in games where it didn't look like they were going to, but they did outshoot Vancouver. I thought they had a pretty good pace through the game. But getting the shootout win is a great thing for a team that, historically have not had a ton of success. So it's a good way to get 2 points on the road against a team in the West. You don't care if they get a point off you. And then in Calgary, you got a team in Calgary who's playing pretty well. That's a building the Flyers have had some trouble in of late. I mean, in Calgary looked like a team that was primed. Like they had a good win in Vancouver. They had a big comeback. So they're feeling good. And obviously so they had a big win against this Edmonton Oilers team. The Flyers will see 4-1 the other night. So Edmonton reeling, guys. But I think when you look at the Flyers start to the year, pretty good. 2 points out of a possible 4. It's tough going out on the road where you start hitting teams' home openers and the emotion the other night, Calgary with the Gaudreau brothers and that ceremony before the game. So there's a lot that goes into that, and I think tonight it's been a couple days for them to regroup and get re-prepared to play in Edmonton. You think will come out with their hair on fire in this game tonight.
Yeah, it's never really a good time to make this trip, is there, Bundy? But is this a good spot for a team like this to start with a nice long road trip here? You get out, you get some dinners, all that stuff, and you get this out of the way while you're semi-fresh instead of having to cram it in December or something like that.
Yeah, I like it because I remember going on the road early with the team when I played. It was a good way to get to know guys, get to see a lot of their tendencies off the ice, what they were like, get to know them as people, hear about their families and stuff. And then while you're there, you're getting to have dinners and share more personal time together with guys. When you get the hockey games, of course, it's time for business. But I did like it, and I think it's a good extension of camp to be able to go out on the road early in the year like this, because you just got to, get to share a little bit with guys we're doing over the summer and how exciting the start of the year is and what you can do to make yourselves better. So it is a great time of year, and it really is, I think, a good thing, Smitty, for them to start on the road. I love going on the road to start.
Yeah, Bundy, that's the thing. There's nothing in front of this trip where you're traveling multiple time zones, starting out in BC, going back to Alberta for 2 against Calgary and Edmonton, then going back out to Seattle. Mm-hmm. So that kind of mitigates it a little. If it's in the middle, you got wear and tear on the way in, and you're going to have more wear and tear on the way out. And when you get back,
a lot more sustainable playing them early in the year. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Because you're so energized about the start of the year that you don't really...
You play on Neptune.
You don't pay attention to it at all. You're just going to play hockey. You get home, you're not tired because you're excited about your own home opener. And, so there's a lot of build-up. It's a good thing. The thing is here, guys, though, and I'll say this, if you're the Flyers, and again, looking at the standings last year, how close things were, there's 4 more available points, and they've got to find a way. I think if you can get one more win on this, you get 4 points or 5 points out of these next 3 points out of these next possible 4. That would be a real success on the trip. You don't want to lose these 2 games and get 0 points out of the 4 remaining. Then you got to start chasing the schedule a little bit early and have depend on a couple of games at home to start.
One of the things, Bundy, in the first 2 games, they have 1 win, 1 loss, but they have yet to play a minute of hockey while having a lead. We talk about first goal and playing with the lead in this game, and how much it tends to lead to victories.
Yeah,
against this Edmonton team tonight, who is starting the year 0-3 on the mat a little bit. You do not want to put any blood or chum in the water for them to feed on. Get the first goal, put doubt in their mind right away.
If you can, and actually, I like the Flyers tonight, to be honest with you, because I think Edmonton's still trying to get themselves together. They're resorting already to putting the two big stars on that one line. We'll talk about that, but I think if you're the Flyers tonight, go out with a good attitude, have a good presence early, get pucks in deep, establish a forecheck. Edmonton, Jason, we were talking earlier just in prep for tonight. I mean, their defense and their defensive system is not one that you're going to be looking around the league to emulate anywhere. The Flyers can take advantage of that, especially with the way that they're trained here by Torts. Torts likes to get these guys in on the forecheck, get a physical presence going. But I think when you look at Edmonton, there's a lot of healing. 2.5, 3 months before you hardly have any time to train, by the time we relax and get back in it. And so I think it's an interesting setting here tonight in Edmonton, because they don't want to have the year they had, or the start that they had last year either, where they ended up having a magnificent finish. But it's certainly difficult to chase the standings. So this will be an important game for Edmonton tonight, because first of all, they want to get a win at home, and they certainly want to get their superstars going.
The other thing too, Bundy, is that for whatever reason, it feels like the Flyers have been a relatively good matchup against the Oilers. They've had better luck, of course, in Philadelphia, but even here, they've been able to at least prevent the Oilers from running away with things in this building. And it's been interesting the last couple of years to watch a guy like Noah Cates shut down Connor McDavid to some extent. We don't think Noah Cates is in the lineup tonight, but some of these other forwards are going to have an opportunity to see what they can do. And I guess everything does run through him. As their start shows, he doesn't have any goals, and that's probably a big reason that they're 0-3.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about Connor McDavid, we go back to the playoffs in games 5 and 6, where he had 8 points in 2 games.
Ridiculous.
It looked like he was literally playing in a child's pickup game, out having fun on a Saturday night somewhere. And and here he is struggling. It just shows you that the fury of the league sometimes, and how it can really come and sting you. But I think Edmonton's got a serious Thanksgiving turkey hangover right now, guys, from that final last year. Their belly's probably full, and they're feeling still a little bit sorry for themselves. And you know what? Who should not feel sorry for them? The Philadelphia Flyers tonight. They're reeling. They've only scored 3 goals, Edmonton. When you look at, I believe, 3 goals, right, Jason, on the season?
And they've given up 15.
Right, for a team that has that much ample firepower at both the front end and the back end. So, again, the Flyers know what they're going to be dealing with, but if they have a sustained good defensive system tonight, you can frustrate Edmonton, a team that I know for a fact is going to try to be out trying to pound that scoreboard tonight to make up for a dreary first 3 games.
Bundy, while the Flyers have had some success against Edmonton as a team, McDavid in his career, he's played the Flyers 15 times. You don't see him a ton because it's in the Western Conference. We only see him twice a year. Plus, we had the bubble year where the Flyers didn't see Edmonton. But 15 games against the Flyers, he's got 11 goals and 20 assists for 31 points. When he is on the ice, you better be aware. The matchup, the players to match up, Smitty just brought up Noah Cates. We don't think he's in the lineup tonight. Sean Couturier played him in that game where I think he was on the ice for 21 of his 24 shifts, and he didn't have a shot on goal. He had an assist in the game, but didn't have a shot on goal against the Flyers. Who are the guys you want to match up against him?
Well, ideally, in a game like this, I like to have a back end matchup. But with a guy with his speed, you have to defend him in layers. You have to get somebody to get a whack on him in the D zone as he gets skates with the puck, somebody to kind of approach him in the neutral zone, and then have your D with some kind of a formulated gap. You're never going to be able to stand him up at the blue line, because he can chip and chase and just wheel right by you. So I really think that there has to be a special focus tonight on a guy like that. But if I'm the Flyers tonight, this is a Travis Sanheim game. This is a game. If you want to be that guy, as
be the man.
You got to be. If you're going to be the man, you got to go out tonight in the road, and you got to accept that challenge, take it on, and if you're going to do the job, you got to shut him down.
Yeah.
You can't go win 4-3, and McDavid had 3 points in the game. You want to make sure your team can secure that, and that's what a top defenseman has to do. You have to do that job, that top pair.
And again, a bit of a different scenario here, of course, because now the Flyers have a bit of a flashy new toy to look at, Matvei Michkov. And we haven't had a chance to talk with you on the air, Bundy, about Michkov after the first 2 games. I'm curious your thoughts of his start to the season and what you've seen from him in terms of trying to adjust to the NHL.
You know what? You can see his skill set in small spaces. The good bumper pass the other night to TK got his first assist, and That he may be able to get going from that. I think he's learning the league. I think he's learning the physicality that comes with it, the close quarters that you see. I think there's probably more space, more open ice in that European Russian type of style hockey. So I think there's some of that getting used to. Wondering if a guy's going to hit you when you're hitting the corner. It's a little bit different. What do you do with the puck? What plays do you make? I think he's just a 2-game sample. I know, Jace, we talked about it. He's a small space player. He's not a rush type of guy where, that you see that dynamic. But, I see a guy that could just absolutely weave plays in and out of the corners on the half board, set guys up. He's a much better playmaker than I thought. But I look for him to get on the score sheet tonight. I really have a feeling he's going to have a special game here tonight for some reason. I think he got the little bit of the jitters out the first two. And I think Smitty tonight that I think this could be a really good night for him, because I think when Edmonton looks at the tape, they're not really going to be focused on him. They're focused on themselves tonight and those big guys, and that leaves some space open for offensive talent on the other side.
Well, if the NHL is played in a phone booth, as many have said, with the lack of time and space, the KHL is like playing in a cathedral because there's a lot more time and space. Way different, right? And if he likes to play in small spaces, this is the league for him. All right, we're going to take our first time out. Here's what's coming up. We're going to talk to Tim Saunders. We're going to take a view from the booth in Edmonton coming up next. We're going to look at the line combinations, and we're going to have Bundy's Focused. Bundy's 3 keys to victory. That is all coming up, so stay tuned. It is the Fanatic Flyers pregame show on the Flyers Broadcast Network. Back after this. The Edmonton Oilers, in their third game of the season, the Edmonton's fourth game of the season, they are 0-3. We are joined once again by Chris Therien and Brian Smith. And you look at the situation, Bundy, when you're facing a team like Edmonton, you just don't want to put them on that power play. And like Tim said, they have taken an alarming amount of penalties so far, the Flyers, in their first two games. Yeah, the PK's been good. They've gotten touched up a couple times, a 5-on-3 goal in there as well. But against Edmonton, what do you got to do to avoid taking penalties?
Well, I think one of them is to contain some of the speed. I think when you deal with guys that are coming at you with the speed that Edmonton has, you're going to force yourself sometimes to reach for pucks. And when you reach for pucks, sticks get caught in the skates, and you end up getting twisted. You hook guys, and you topple them down. I can live with a good, hard, tough penalty. Where a guy makes a play and something happens where either you get in a puck battle and something ensues and the penalty gets called. But usually it goes both ways. You just can't take the ticky-tack penalties that can hurt you and deflate your lineup, and it flattens your bench because you're using your penalty killers too much, and the rest of the guys are sitting there waiting for the special teams units to stop and to get themselves off the ice. So that's the biggest thing. Be assertive with your game. Don't reach, because that will not work. If you're reaching against McDavid or Draisaitl or Nugent-Hopkins, it's already too late.
Yeah.
There is one other intriguing possibility tonight here, and that's Jet Luchenko maybe going up against Connor McDavid. It's bound to happen at some point. I wouldn't be surprised if Chris Knobloch's actually looking for that matchup. We did hear from Torts about this morning, and he said he's not worried about it. He's not going to try to make it happen, but he's not worried about it. Here's what Torts had to say on the subject. So I guess if he's here for a game like this, you might as well give him a shot out there against the best in the world and see how he fares, huh?
There's a couple of things with it. I mean, it's fine, but I actually think this may be a little bit of gamesmanship by Torts, to be honest with you. If I'm Chris Knobloch, I'm just saying this, guys. I'm looking for the Couturier matchup for McDavid. It's a speed thing. I'm probably, if I'm Torts, I'm right. I'm not too worried about the 17 or the newly turned 18-year-old going to McDavid, because he's going to be a ball of energy. He's going to be able to skate with him. But I'm not sure that that's a matchup. We'll find out in a few minutes. But I'm thinking it's not the end of the world if he ends up probably playing a little bit. McDavid will probably get matched up against both Couturier and Luchenko.
Yeah, Couturier actually had some success. He defended him 21 to 24 shifts last year in that one game where he didn't get a shot. But I mean, you think about it, Bundy. You go, well, Couturier is not the most fleet of foot. I don't think we're breaking any news. That's what I'm saying from a
speed standpoint. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think we're breaking any news there.
And again, and it was different than where Coots had finished last year. Now I know he's rejuvenated and ready to go.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for a speed factor, it might be it. But Coots is Coots. He's going to know too if that's the matchup. He's going to show up and he's going to be ready for it.
Well, another part of the matchup, Bundy, is going to be the fact that it's McDavid playing with Draisaitl, who plays the game at a totally different pace than McDavid. What kind of challenge does this now pose, dealing with these two absolute animals?
Yeah, that's a problem when they go top heavy on it. But what it also does, though, is it allows your other lines to take a little bit more advantage, if you can, of some of the other groups that you're going to play against. So I guess that's what I'm saying with Sanheim and his partner tonight. Like, you get the job done. If you can do that job on those guys, you're going to win the game. You're going to win the game, because I don't think there's as much offensive depth on those other lines. Power play, stay off it, and then make sure you're doing the job in that top line. Whoever's out there, you're not going to be able to go on the go. You're going to have a shutdown mentality. So I like the play by Torts. I think it's a good play on words, because it kind of leaves people guessing a little bit, suggesting what he's going to do. But I'm really, really curious to see what Edmonton does here at the beginning of this game.
Yeah, Chris Knobloch will have some familiarity with Sean Couturier as well from his time in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So we'll see if what he opts to do with that last change on the road. All right, coming up, we're going to get to the booth coming up a little bit later as Tim Saunders and Todd Fedoruk will have all the action between the Flyers and the Oilers. When we come back, we're actually going to hear from a guy that Bundy said was really important in this game tonight. That's Travis Sanheim. We'll have a quick conversation with Travis Sanheim. We'll give you the line combinations and Bundy's focus. The 3 keys to victory are all coming up. Stay tuned. We are back after this. It is the Flyers Fanatic pregame show on the Flyers Broadcast Network.
Together, let's make this an unforgettable experience for everyone. Protect and respect one another and enjoy the hockey game.
Here he is, Travis Sanheim, talking about the perils of dealing with McDavid. It's Jason Myrtetus, Chris Therien, Brian Smith from Edmonton as the Flyers get set to take on the Oilers. 500 games, Bundy, for Travis Sanheim. What was that moment like when you got there? Because you did get there.
It's pretty good, too. And Travis, he'll probably catch me eventually. I think, if he keeps going, there's so many defensemen in the league. But, yeah, 500. It's 500 games. I'm actually surprised to hear that. If you would have said 400, I would have said, okay, yeah, but 500, wow, he's moving along pretty good.
Yeah,
He's an important part of the future here, like he really is as a player. And these are moments like this tonight where you gotta show everybody who you are. There's a game, like there's always got to be one of those games where you say, okay, here's the game you pin it down, you nail it, and that's your game forever. And I feel like he's still got that in him somewhere. I really do.
Yeah. It does kind of sneak up on you a little bit, Bundy, because he was drafted in Philadelphia, and it's been 10 years, believe it or not, since he was drafted in Philadelphia. And he played some time in junior after the draft, and then you go through a couple of years there where the league only played 50, 60 games during the pandemic. So it's one of those things that the Flyers certainly, of course, are hoping that he's got his best years ahead of him, because he's got quite a few years left that they've locked him up for. Maybe he looks like a bargain down the road.
Yeah, no doubt. He's an important piece when you look at the puzzle of the Flyers, and I just feel like there's more there. I think, and he's got to find that. I really believe that. I say that in a good way too.
Well, you reached 500. I was wondering if you'd reach 500, if it changes your NHL pension. But with the contract he signed, I don't think he's even worried about the pension.
I don't even know if that word means anything, if they even know what a pension is anymore.
Let's get to our starting line combinations. Here we go. Here's who the Flyers will be icing for this game against the Oilers. Let's start off with the top line. Morgan Frost going to center Matvei Michkov and Owen Tippett. Now, I don't know if we look into the order of these as 1, 2, whatever.
Right.
I think that's semantics.
This is the order they went in warm-ups. That's about it.
Yeah. But Frost with Michkov and Tippett. We haven't really seen Tippett with Michkov a lot. We've seen a little bit of Forster. We saw a little bit of Tippett in the preseason. But, Bundy, what do you think of that combination of those three players?
Going to be interesting. I'm curious to see that, because again, you got a little bit of everything there. You got Morgan Frost operates well in small spaces, as we said. Michkov clearly does, and then you got a big skater like Tippett, who can really turn on the Jets. So I'm looking to see what that can do. It could be dangerous if they can find some chemistry.
And Owen Tippett the other night had a career high 9 hits in that game in Calgary. I felt like the entire team was in a little bit of a cross mood the other night, and Tippett especially was hitting everything that moves. I feel like if he starts to bring that to his game on a night in, night out basis along with his offense, I mean, that just takes his game to the next level.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, absolutely. And he's a guy for me, Tippett. And I was talking to a guy like John LeClaire last year. We were talking about defense and plays, and we were watching a game, and I said, I wish this guy knew that he could just drive the net every time. Just dip the shoulder and turn it in. Like, you can't do anything as a defenseman. It's too hard.
He's too fast, too strong.
Yeah, he is.
I don't think he knows how good he is, Bundy.
Luxury of the rules. You can't just tomahawk a guy anymore and he goes by you, or he's making a play to the net.
Yeah, I really don't think he knows how good he is yet.
I'm with you. With you.
I feel like he can dictate and control a game, even when things are going sideways. I think he's a guy that could turn it. Let's get to the second line. Lachenko back in the lineup tonight, just sat for the Calgary game. He's going to play with Travis Konechny and Tyson Forster. Konechny off to a decent start. He's got 2 goals, 2 in the last game, one of them shorthanded, other one on the power play. He'll be looking for a 5-on-5 marker tonight. But Forster off to a good start and gets a goal early this season, Bundy, where last year it took a while for him to get one.
Yeah, they sure tried to get him that goal too last year, and they really put a lot of focus on him trying to get a goal. I always said I wish I had find me a coach that loved me like they loved him early in the year to find a goal. But you know what he did, and he came on, and he found a way to get to 20 goals, and then some, and he got a goal early. So we'll see how that is. That's more like a buzzsaw line for me right there. They can get out on the forecheck. There's some speed in that line. I like that combination as well.
Let me tell everybody that you're listening to 97.5 The Fanatic, WPEN Burlington, Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station, and you're listening to the Fanatic Flyers pregame show with Jason Myrtetus, Chris Therien, and Brian Smith from Edmonton. The third line, Couturier, Farabee, Brink. This line hooked up for probably the goal of the season so far. It's early. We might get a better one. But that was that. The Brink pass, but the little move by Couturier to lift the defenseman's stick as that pass is sauced through.
That's an interesting line only because of the matchup standpoint. I wanted to clarify a little bit what I said about the Couturier matchup, about Edmonton maybe wanting that. I'm thinking they want that matchup. This is where I clarify, because Draisaitl's with McDavid tonight. Mm-hmm. If it's McDavid only with 2 line mates, I think Couturier is a fine matchup. But I'm worried about that now because of the 2 wings with Couturier.
Now Brinker Farabee's got to deal with Draisaitl.
They have to play defense. That's a little bit of an issue for
point.
me looking at it right now. Yeah.
Yeah, and again, I think Brink, for me, fits in that other mold you mentioned about Tippett, that maybe he doesn't know how good he is yet, just because we see him trying to make things happen, and sometimes it just looks a little out of sorts, but then he's able to dish off a pass like he did to Farabee the other night. And you can still see, can't you, buddy, the flashes in there of what Brink might be able to bring to the table here as he continues to refine his game.
Yeah, and I think he's a guy that still has a ways to go to learn his game at both ends of the ice. But he's gotten better. He's probably be a lot of people's early pick as like who'd be the surprise pick player of the year, like that would take a leap.
Most improved.
Had a nice start to the season for sure. He'll have to continue to play well every night.
Paling will be centering the fourth line with Hathaway and Lawton. Noah Cates, as we mentioned earlier, goes out of the lineup. The D pairs, York and Sanheim, no shocker there. Zamula going to play with Rasmus Ristolainen. And then Eric Johnson stays in the lineup. We have two right shot guys in Johnson and Drysdale. They elect not to bring Emil Andre into this game. He's been with the team since, I think he got in Saturday morning prior to the Vancouver game. Didn't play in that one, didn't play in this one. You have to think, though, Bundy, they called him up. They could have called up somebody else to just come and sit. But maybe this isn't the right spot for Emil Andre dealing with this Edmonton team.
Yeah, and I mean, that's clearly coach's decision. But, yeah, I mean,
he had a good camp.
I don't know. Yeah. You know what? Like, there'll be plenty of time if they want to get him in a lineup. There'll be plenty of opportunity. I think this is a lineup they started with. I think they want to make sure they roll with this as they started the start of the year like this.
What does a healthy Rasmus Ristolainen bring to this lineup, Bundy? Obviously, last year he missed all but 30 games, I think, with that injury, and probably even a little out of sorts the year before that. He's 100% now, and I got to think that that's a big benefit to the defense in general, not just to have his game in there, but to be a little more stable in terms of the 6 or 7 guys that play every night.
He just needs to pick up those minutes, outside the top 4 and defend hard, be physical, move the puck out of the zone with efficiency. That's all he needs to do. And you'll find out that you have a good player if he can do that. Just less is more for him. Just keep it simple.
Speaking of keeping it simple, let's keep it simple here. Let's go to Bundy's focus. The 3 keys to victory. Bundy, key number 1.
Get the job done on the top line against Edmonton. I mean, it's as simple as that. If you can shut those 2 guys down tonight, that top line of Edmonton, you're going to have about a 90% chance of winning this hockey game with a good defensive system. Number 2 for me tonight will be to keep Edmonton off the power play. We talked a little bit about that earlier. Don't want to get yourself caught in ticky-tack penalties where you're giving them offensive momentum that you don't need. That is going to be really, really important. And the third thing tonight, guys, Flyers, their own special teams tonight. When they get power play, that may be the difference in a hockey game like that tonight. They've capitalized. They've had some chances. They got a goal late last game. I'm also looking tonight, as I said, just add on to this. I'm looking to see what Mishkov does. So I have a feeling tonight, sneaky feeling, he's going to have himself a game tonight.
He looks like a player that is not overwhelmed by the spotlight. Like he kind of feels more comfortable in it. And when you're playing against the single biggest freak to ever put skates on his feet in McDavid, that may be exactly what kind of propels him a little bit, right?
I remember a guy named 99 when it comes to freaks, so we could maybe have a debate on that one.
Yeah,
but
the numbers are just absurd, Bundy.
Yeah, there's been a few freaks in this league. Those 2 for sure. I think it's just an opportunity for him tonight to shine put himself in the spotlight. Games on national TV. And I think it's an opportunity for Mishkov to kind of introduce himself a little bit. We'll see what happens. It should be an interesting game tonight. It really should be, guys. Yeah. He doesn't even know what teams he's going to be good against yet. Like there's guys that own certain teams, right? We say it all the time. Like he doesn't know that, like this might be the start of a great series of 2 points a game against Edmonton over a stretch of 10 years, right? You don't know. So it's just a lot of learning from him, learning tendencies of other players, other teams' goaltendings, and certainly his own players on his own team and how they set up plays, learning the physicality of the league, the corners, where to make plays, what's available to him. He's figuring it out pretty quick.
Sam Ersson will get the start for the Flyers tonight. Smitty's it Skinner in tonight? No, Cal Pickard going to get the game. Well, both of them have been pretty hideous. Okay. Oh, it is Skinner. Okay, so they're going with the 805 save percentage and not the 778 save percentage is what you're saying. Will the league make them use a beach ball to see if they can stop that?
Cal Pickard, doesn't it sound like a great NASCAR name?
Cal Pickard, the Tide Chevrolet. You're absolutely right. He was in Philly for a cup of coffee as well.
He sure was.
All right, that is... Yes, he is. A lot of guys became Flyer legends for a brief moment that year, getting picked up on waivers. All right, that's going to wrap things up. Stay tuned. We've got Tim Saunders and Todd Fedoruk in Edmonton. They've got all the countdown to face-off and all the first period action between the Flyers and the Oilers. You've been listening to the Fanatic Flyers pregame show on the Flyers Broadcast Network. Enjoy your hockey, everybody.